Hello and welcome. This is your GM in the Great Barrier, broadcasting from the center of your entertainment galaxy. Uh, we are back with another episode of Star Trek Adventures Aegis. This is our 22nd century campaign, so set in the fourth season of Enterprise. For all of those that are catching us in the archive, obviously you can find our full playlist here. Run two different Star Trek adventures on this channel, the Aegis game here today, and the Star Trek Adventures Broken Sword game, which is our Klingon-based game. You can keep up to date on all announcements following the either Mastodon or Twitter site addresses that I have. For those watching live, those are also in the chat. But for those of you catching us in the archive, they are just in the description of the video here. So I invite you to check those out at your leisure, and I hope that you continue to enjoy. We're certainly happy to meet up every week and give this some play here. Uh, so, with all of that said, let's get into today's adventure. The crew of the Aegis is taking the initiative to chase down a lead on what appears to have been a raid against a Tellarite facility, and that has stolen something deeply precious to them. Something that was revealed amongst the command staff to be chemosite, a highly unstable substance, but one with great power capabilities, and most especially when highly enriched, significant weapon capabilities. It was the sort of thing that was used to help power the Zindi weapon of the previous year. For those unfamiliar, Season 3 of Enterprise would be the best point to clarify. But with all that said, your investigation has led you to a small asteroid station hiding at the edge of a nebula. The crew has embarked under varying aliases of a miscreant crew led by a Captain Eddie Darkstar Teach, followed by an engineer, Jenny Wrench, the doctor, Danny Bones, or Danny Sawbones, I think, the Andorian brute, Rin Shirina, and the dedicated wheelman, Dylan Crimes. You've come aboard on what your cover story purports to be a stolen Vulcan shuttle with a prisoner, Mr. Saral, uh, back in the shuttle, supposedly captive, but really just deciding that he's having none of this cosplay session here. And
Yep.
it made logical sense for him to not be amongst the group of miscreants, but also to, in case things got hairy, be able to keep the shuttle ready to go. It is his ship after all.
Yep. Our cover story was that we had a job turn up and in the Tellarite space due to the high security that suddenly showed up. And now Eddie and what's left for a crew are looking to see who's fucking responsible and look for a better job or new shit.
Yeah.
Or all
Well,
three.
suffice to say, you've already made an impression while you were here, beating up the person that tried to take shipping fees from you. Um, and as a result, you've earned the eye of a, a rather bulky, amiable Nausicaan gentleman by the name of Dagnar. He himself seems to have a purpose of his own as he's come here, and he's joining you down these corridors, proceeding towards a club on the space that you have come to know as Yudikan. So let's pick up from there. I believe when last we left off, Dagnar was going about with you, kind of guiding you down these hallways. Every step on the grates would leave a noticeable, like, clatter or just audible sound or bit of vibration. At least it would if the corridors weren't so thoroughly packed. To clarify, this is the level that you are in, going from the docking area back into other parts of the station, is a 2-story open air sort of affair. So you could imagine that there is a secondary, like there are hallways immediately above you with railing basically to keep people from falling over. Yes,
Hmm.
this rogue pirate station still observes some basic OSHA tendencies or qualities here, so good for them. But all of that said, quite the massive noise from conversation, from vendors hawking their wares, uh, some stolen, some probably just illegal to produce in general, uh, and otherwise catching the occasional drunken laughs of a few pirate crews who've had a few too many and are just basically taking their equivalent of a night out on the town. So, with all of that said, before we get to the club, is there any conversation you wish to do amongst yourselves? Anything any of you would want to look for? Or just anything else that you would want to explore at this point?
Well,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, what information do you want us to try to gather here?
Well, currently at the moment we're being led along, so I don't want to disperse too widely, but probably just keep an ear out for something we imagine we discussed as we're getting onto the station.
Yes, exactly.
I imagine we're going to look out for anybody who is certainly sitting on uh, a lot of premium goods and is being fidgety, or is being an idiot and talking about as such. Whether that's sharing drinks, sort of like cheering to a good haul, or trying to spout some sort of pride into how much they screwed over the Tellarites. Any other details would be nice too. Who's in what seems to be who seems to be in power, um the local power figures here, some people or areas we should be that even the pirates are wary of, in the immediacy, that sort of things.
I think we should split up to cover more ground.
No,
I agree.
Yes.
no,
Yes. No. Yes, I think it's a
really,
great
really
idea.
dumb.
It's
That's
a
really,
great
really
idea
dumb.
because I think the captain is going to be better at schmoozing, talking to people. So captain can go to the bar areas and Romanoff can probably do.
Yeah, what
Complete
Eula
around
needs
the
is for the
docking area?
captain to isolate herself on a pirate station. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, I think in just 2 teams, so
Everybody should have a buddy.
yeah, Shira
Buddy system.
roughly knows what kind of ship you're looking for Orions, and Romanoff knows all about ships, so they're ideal for going around the docking area and looking at other ships. Well, Sharp and Justice and Dr. Lambeth are probably better at hanging around in bars.
I can fly wingman for you, Captain. I mean, Darkstar.
Captain also applies here.
Alright.
She grins. Boss also applicable. She smiles.
Yes, yes, Darkstar boss.
Skipper?
She rolls her eyes.
Skipper.
Um,
Got it.
But fine. Be safe. Make sure that you are in clear communications. Do not separate each other, because that's a good way of getting robbed, shanked, or what is GM? What is it called what the British did? Press ganging, where they just pull you in to make you join.
Press gangs.
Yeah, that's a distinct possibility here. Disintegration's also probably possible here.
Yeah. And if it's a crime, that's because we're in a pirate den, and let it go.
And I'm sure absolutely no one's going to attempt to steal our shuttle while we're here.
If you have I'm sure plenty of people might try to steal a shuttle, but we have Sorol, and I'm sure all the various devices that Sorol has here. But in any case, if you have a problem, if you have a moral quandary, communicate with me, and I will come over and help you deal with it. In the way of doing as such. I have posed as a criminal and a pirate before. I've done some work for Starfleet Intelligence, so I know my way a little bit, but certainly just try to keep your head down. All right.
Yes, Captain Eddie.
Make sure that it just make it look like you're looking for a new ship for us, huh? Smiles.
Yeah.
Cool.
We won't cause trouble. We won't look for trouble. Just look for ships.
If trouble starts brewing, don't flee. Handle it then and there. Don't try to make it bigger. Just try to handle it then and now. Understand?
Got it. Handle it.
If it starts getting too much of a problem, then you call me.
Shira lethality protocol engaged. All right. So
yeah. So Romanov and Shira are chilling back in the dock ring, I guess, and then the rest of the group is with me.
Okay.
Except for Saral, who is too much of a square to not join the cool kids.
Which you think it's kind of odd. I mean, he's like a rebel Vulcan anyway.
Typical Vulcan. Always willing to let someone else do the work.
You're good where you were there, Dylan, quote unquote. I do love. I know it didn't quite translate live because of the screen setup, but I was moving the tokens around, and placing Danny where it was when Drone also moved Dylan Crimes, aka Chief Justice's token, in the same place. So I just imagine that he, like, as the crew was separating, Danny tried to move next to the captain, but Chief Justice bumped into his way.
Yeah, I'm taking my wingman responsibility serious.
Yep. Well, speaking of, while the captain, Romanov, and Shira covertly make arrangements on how to split up the teams.
Oh no, this happened back on while we were transitioning to the station.
Yeah, this would have been a conversation.
Okay, yeah. Well,
plus it's been a week, and we forgot what we might have said.
Yeah. The GM accepts this as a cosmic retcon with no implication or no impact to the narrative in this case. So as that group begins to separate, Romanov and Shira are looking around, and I imagine during this time Sharp is continuing to schmooze the Nausicaan. Ben, Drone, is there anything either of your characters would be looking for right now, or anything in particular you would want to do?
Sorry, are we still in a hallway, or did we go into the big social area?
You are approaching the big social area, or you're approaching the entrance to it. For now, I just decided to leave us at the transition point we were in last time.
Okay. Yeah, I think Chief Crimes is just like trying to stick relatively close to the captain, but not too close, not too far away. Like he's sort of taken on a little bit of a bodyguard role, I think.
Gotcha. Basically, trying to adopt the fly casual approach.
Yeah, exactly.
But not too casual.
It's also very dark in here with these sunglasses on.
Yes. Once again, you find that the lighting on alien space stations is not properly modulated to your glasses. It's bad enough.
He's actually from the mirror universe. This fits. His eyes are very sensitive. No.
God damn it. I've warned everyone on social media already that at least I think I did that you won't see if the day that I run a mirror universe character is the day that I mention Elon Musk in a positive light. Dead giveaways. So anyway, while Chief Crimes is managing that. Ben, what do you think Danny's up to? If he's doing anything in particular?
Yeah, I don't think he's got anything in particular to do.
Gotcha.
Just
Well then, we'll have you two continuing to walk towards the club, and we can make the next scene the entry point into that. Captain, if you wanted to say anything else to Dagnar, it can either wait until then, or if you really urgently want to suss it out now, then we can do that. Otherwise,
No, we're good.
okay. In that case, since the group is split off, I think I will ask for the sort of house rule, the narrative initiative rolls, which is just a single d20 from one person in each of the groups. This case, Panda, if you want to roll. Well, I guess you guys are yeah, you can elect to go first or to pass, and otherwise, well, I guess that does preempt the roll from the others. Would you like to go ahead and move into the club then?
Sure.
All right. So, the four of you continue on at some depth into the station. It occurs to you, Captain, that based on your point of entry into the station, while the docks are relatively exposed, they are also somewhat armored. But even then, you pass through a couple of bulkheads, so it comes to mind that the area you are entering is actually fairly well protected from an exterior move, which would be a benefit if you were a pirate on a besieged station, but probably less well for as a point of egress if you needed to get out in a hurry. So that's just the sort of thing that your Mako training would pick up on.
Yep, I am trying to recollect, like, what, 4 or 5 years ago back, memories and stories, or, legend that I had to cook up.
It's honestly it's been more the past 2 or 3 years. I mean, the previous years was more time. You probably spent more time chasing down fringe attacks by Zindi scouts who were trying to fix and locate Earth colonies for their eventual extended campaign. But yeah, the other memories are much more fresh.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember the initial deep cover legend that I had and used several times. So,
fair enough.
Yeah.
So, the entryway, or rather, you approach an entryway with a large sign. There are characters in some alien language, not entirely recognizable. Sharp for your part, it might be Orion, but it's very heavily stylized and very bright neon green, so it's a little bit difficult for you to tease out. Dagnar will take the first step there to approach. Before these doors, it's a sort of double door cargo bay type setup, or at least that point of entry. And before it, there stands I'd say a fairly bulky bouncer type. This actually looks to be a Denobulan gentleman at the gate, who just looks over a pad. He holds something up. Dagnar. Oh. Alright, you're clear. There's this bunch. This is the entertainment! Oh, are you entering them in tonight? The roster's already largely full, and the last major match is already slated to come up here soon. It's not that serious, though. I do think this one is adventurous enough that she might volunteer for the ring herself.
There's just a very Richter Mortis sort of toothy grin What entertainment exactly? I do enjoy having been of fun, but I prefer more of a drink before anything else.
The Denobulan man looks to you. Tonight there's some gladiatorial matches are presently on, sponsored by some of the station's patrons. It's actually one of the big ones because we have coming out of a semi-retirement, Armatrix the Destroyer is joining us. He's a veteran of more battles here through the borderlands and the Rigelian Rim than virtually anyone else here.
Is that so? Certainly. I'll work my way in once I'm comfortable enough.
Good luck. Frankly, there's a more anticipated match with the promising newcomer that one of the patrons found.
Oh? And who's the challenger?
I haven't the slightest clue. I've heard the name Deshawn, I think, but other than that, I couldn't tell you anything. Near as I can tell, just some weirdo somebody picked up on the fringe who, frankly, doesn't make a lick of sense to anyone. All he seems to know is how to fight.
Good enough for me. Can we get in?
Yeah, just any energy weapons, you may keep them on your person, but you draw, understand, everyone else is as well or better armed, so you do that, you're liable for any damages you cause. There's also no use of them use of them in the high roller section, should you find your way there, is prohibited. There is a dampening field in effect, so I wouldn't try. And if you do try to pull, just about everyone there has some form of melee armament. It gets a lot more messy there.
I do enjoy messy. Alright, good enough for me.
So with that, he'll usher the four of you in, and you approach a large, sprawling bay of sorts, which is an immediate assault on your senses. The you feel waves of the sense of like powerful alcohol, sweat from half a dozen different species, and just the sheer cacophony of noise from roaring conversations, blaring announcements from seemingly fights and other illicit bets of different sorts, and the roar of what some of you might recognize as Nausicaan tusk metal. There are all manner of different species in this area, though there are large numbers of Mazarite, Orion, especially Nausicaans, and even some Malurians interspersed into the bunch.
I will say, the moment that I see a... because I imagine it's pretty packed in here, right? In general, with people.
Yep.
I take the nearest drink that somebody's holding and start drinking it and walking off.
Let me roll me a d6.
3.
Okay. You pull the drink off an Orion man's off the table by an Orion man. What exactly?
Just give a nod. Sip the drink. Is it any good?
Oh, give me a fitness and medicine roll. Difficulty 3.
Holy shit. Fitness, medicine. Oh god, this is gonna be bad. Okay, cool. Nope, I don't do any of those things. Cool, let's do this.
Oof.
Nope.
Well, it probably is good, but it is extremely heavy on the acid, so you feel like doing this, or you feel like downing this first off might have immediately eroded some enamel off your teeth. Like if you'd gotten a complication, basically, then chances are Danny might be doing some reconstructive surgery on you later on.
I take a sip and just like hold it for like a quick second before it's spitting on the floor and sitting it back down. That's more of your business. Pats him on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Gonna pay for another one?
Sure, my name is... What? Can't hear you. As I just leave.
You leave that Orion man rather agitated, but he'll just will seem to pull out. He will go to order another drink, hefting what appears to be quite a satchel of some sort of physical currency that they are carrying on him. But yeah, Dagnar says, "I'd be careful what you pull. Tastes here are, well, if I know my humans, then they are not quite so tame as what you Earthers drink."
I don't know. I've been pretty far out. And I've taken quite a bit, my fair share. But I'll take your word for it for the moment. Till I find something nice, cozy, warms the belly. Polish off a few bulkheads here and there. She grins.
Oh, quite fair, quite fair. Oh, well, I suppose since this is a first time on the station, and you've given me such entertainment. Would you like me to see to anything for you? I'm feeling extra magnanimous tonight.
Find something a good 60 proof minimum. And a nice lady, technically humanoid. Something pretty on the eyes that even I can enjoy.
Tastes are more refined than I expected.
I don't know whether to cut you or chuckle at you. But whatever. Surprise me.
Oh, that I think we can manage here. And Dagnar will move off, but he will turn back. Oh, and anything for you two. The quiet ones.
Well, Chief Crimes will take a whatever the house special is. The cheap one, though.
Is there any other? What about you there? The thin one.
Danny boy. Outside of the normal fineries you have in your bag, do you want something to actually drink?
I'm good with the contents of my bag, if that's all right.
I need you lucid enough to actually get till we get a ship.
Yeah, I know. I'll watch myself.
Just look over to Crimes. Keep an eye on him.
He looks over the tip of his sunglasses and just gives a look and like a wink.
He winks back, I guess.
As a bunch of you exchange winks here, Dagnar will move off. I suppose
I'll find a nice corner to relax in. Something I can observe the venue reasonably. If it looks like somebody's there and that doesn't seem like a powerful figure, I'm just gonna swat him out and take his place.
Well, I mean, would you like to roll some sort? Would any of you like to roll any sort of insight check, or are any things that you want to try and take in with the scene?
I think once we settle into a booth, like if I'm picturing a corner booth or something. Chief Justice is gonna slide in there and like put both of his arms up on the back of the booth and sort of spread out a little bit, relax. I'm imagining he's looking off in the direction of like the middle of the room.
I'm going to look for anyone who is really either trying to keep themselves really low to the ground and being fidgety, or looking like they've just made they just got all the latinum in the galaxy, as it were.
Actually, what I'm specifically going to look for too, like knowing that you're looking for that, I'm going to look for somebody who seems like they are deep in their cups and maybe is a little talkative and loud.
I think for this type of assessment here, I would call that insight and command. And I will, if you would like to roll separately, you can roll 2d20s, or you can roll 2 dice for your task roller, and I will award momentum based on the highest level. Let's call this task a difficulty of, call it a difficulty of 2, just because of the noise.
What was what was the attribute in this one?
Insight and command, and
Cool.
all three of you may take this up if you so wish. Danny, if you prefer to look for,
I'm gonna take a momentum, get a third die.
I will allow that.
There we go.
Very good. Since it's been some time between the last session, I am, in my effort to be a better GM about this, I'm taking one of those just to reflect that there's been a lapsing of time and a scene change. So you are presently at 2 momentum.
Yeah, now we're down to 1.
Well, but you earned back 1 with the
Okay.
3 successes on your roll there. With all of that, yeah, Chief Justice, the sunglasses are not doing you any favors there. Anyway,
I would also ask when Dagnar leaves to go get drinks, I will lean into Danny and say, could you give me a quick oxidizer and any other things to keep me focused and not drunk or high?
Oh yeah, me too, Doc. I got to drive later.
Yeah, I'm sure I can figure something out for you.
For to roll, if you want to roll for anti-intoxicants, this is easily
Yeah, I guess.
this would easily be in your wheelhouse. So I'd give you a administering it can be a free thing. So I'll ask for insight and medicine to best modulate it to the strength of the alcohol here and the medical profiles of your captain and pilot.
What's the difficulty?
We'll make this a difficulty 1.
Okay.
You're pretty comfortable with this type of chemistry, at least.
Yeah. Would you count criminal underworld focus?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Well.
No. Okay. Wow, that's not good.
Well. Yeah.
At least they weren't botches. That was very close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear. For the record here, that was an 18 and a 19 on the die. Well. So here's what I'll say. Danny, well, this would be by no means a strange environment to you necessarily. It has been some time since you've been in this type of environment, since you've taken in anything like this, and really, in your time growing up on it was Vega Colony, if memory serves.
Yep.
Vega never had anything this good. Or
Okay.
this dynamic. Certainly nothing this exotic when you think in terms of the like how, for lack of a better phrase, how alien things are, as you might conceptualize it. And honestly, as you are trying to put something together, it seems a bit much. The dose of what you'd put together, you maybe don't entirely realize, but it is much lighter than what you would have done. So as you covertly supply some hypos to the captain and to Dylan there, it's something that might at best produce a placebo, but let's just say that this won't reduce difficulty on any rolls for either of you if you should get into drink. Not that your characters would be aware. That being said, to go back to the original insight check here, the sunglasses combined with that, just this overwhelming experience here, it's not doing you any favors here, Justice. The sheer just the sheer level of activity in this area is a lot to contend with. The strobing lights are mostly drowned out by your sunglasses. You only get the faintest of flashes and the vague impression of different people moving around and uh, trying to do different, go about, do different things here. But for your part, Colonel, you feel like you have a pretty good read on much of the room. You notice that there's a general ambience of excitement and the same sort of like fun but barely concealing a tension that would erupt if somebody were to throw a punch, as you'd expect in any pirate den. There are definitely some highs and some lows. In particular, some of the Orions seem especially flush with basically cash. They're definitely going through a few more of the activities here. Others are not quite so well off, though. Their cup tend to runneth over if they are in close proximity to some of the Orions. The one other thing you notice is that out of the most subdued bunch, there are several Rigelians in the room. A few are mingling, but others appear to have taken some isolated points around the room and seem to be playing things relatively quiet.
Do I notice the Orion woman in the corner, or are there other Orion women around, or is it just men?
For the most part, I would say it is primarily men. You would notice the Orion woman at the bar next to the Iridian. Dagnar is actually speaking with her right now and aiming to secure drinks.
Okay.
There does seem to be just behind the bar and slightly elevated, there does seem to be effectively a cage of a sort, which could be the high roller section. It appears to be somewhat fortified, and there are a couple of Nausicaans standing guard there. They appear to have fair-sized bludgeons at the ready, and something that seems to have some machinery or electronics built into it. So you would expect basically cattle prods.
Right. Are there any familiar? Look, I know one in an odd year of deep cover is probably not much, especially in the wrong region of space. But there's any familiar organizations or crews or whether markings or otherwise in this place?
For one momentum, I would allow you to obtain the information.
Would that be fine with people?
Yeah.
Because a bit of the backstory, I did get unfortunately a little too deep for even someone myself. So, yeah. Okay. So let's spend the momentum.
Okay. So with that point of momentum, I will allow you to peg out roughly the. I'll give you the bonus of pegging out essentially the array and series of potential people that could be involved here. Let's see. Move these all into a token layer here.
Oh, that's a lot of tokens.
I think the red is shocking.
So,
in
the over the past year, over the past year or so, in which you've been from what you can draw from earlier missions, and especially over the past year, you would have a pretty good sense of the status of certain criminal operations. There's, of course, the very well-known Orion Syndicate, who, honestly, their presence in some cases is exaggerated. They may not necessarily be on every station. some Orions who might be independent operators can simply claim to operate on their behalf, or there could be a small number of agents. It's really uncertain. The syndicate is a bit more.
Everybody's going to claim they're working with royalty,
Yep.
even if they're independent.
Yep, and the certainly like the organization is nebulous enough that there could be different factions, different players, and to the extent that they there's any sort of mutual support, it's more the mutual interest of like fighting off the lawman or anyone that would try to sully the syndicate in general. Beyond that, you know that there have been some other criminal operations of late. For the Mazarite, the biggest one has been the Zankor Syndicate, which has been spilling over into some of the neighboring sectors away from Mazar. The government has been fighting them for some time, but to no avail. It's particularly unfortunate as the Vulcans provide them considerable counterinsurgency assistance, but seemingly without much impact. For the Nausicaan part, there's generally less organization, although you know that they have generally, over the years, organized themselves into different sort of compacts and otherwise like joint arrangements. In some cases, they can go as large essentially as the older like European armies that were just raised by a group of people wanting to make money, like not exactly
free swords. Yeah.
Yes.
Mercenaries.
But yes, the scale could grow quite large. For the most part, it tended to be just like half a dozen raiders that would agree to start up on a base together and what have you. Probably the least you would know about would be the Malurians. You've heard some intelligence reports on something called the Raldol alignment, which is an expansionist element out of Maluria. They tend to be a very isolationist bunch, preferring to stick towards their world. The Malurians, however, their societies basically organize themselves around these alignments of a sort, social orders, and the Raldol alignment is both known as being expansionist, or like they believe that for Maluria to have a future, they need to aggressively colonize, expand, invade, and whatnot. But because they are relatively weak, they engaged in criminal operations. The NX-01 had interrupted a Malurian plot 2 years ago, and their exposure has since had them exiled. So you've probably seen a little bit more criminal activity as that alignment just tries to survive out in space.
All right. Any of them look more cagey than normal, or more happier than they should be?
Well, off your general insight check, I would say that the what is it? Definitely
Orion.
some of the Orion crews seem like they are the happiest, or it's definitely the sort of elation from quite a from a good score.
Cool. I would point that out to my 2 crew members, and we'll say give it about an hour or so, and then start poking a little bit. Oh, and nope, that is a trope and not actually true. You may or may not want to stay away from the bar. This is like eyes the Orion woman.
As you say that, Dagnar comes back from the bar with a few decent decent sized glasses. I went for some simpler ales for our for the bespectacled one. handing something a deep greenish brown to you. And then let's see here. They happen to have a decent Uridian brandy that I think you might appreciate. Certainly my drink of choice right now.
Can I insight him?
Go right ahead. Difficulty 1, Insight and Command.
Gambling? Diplomacy?
I will allow diplomacy.
Okay.
Oof.
Oh my god.
And real quick,
I will give you a threat. I'll give you a threat. Let's not get myself accidentally poisoned.
I will take 2 threat. But anyway, real quick to the chat there. Before the reference comes up, there is no sheriff to shoot here, nor a deputy for that matter.
Or there probably was, but they are very much shot already and desiccating somewhere.
Yep. Thrown out into the airlock. Let's be fair here.
Yeah, it'd be nasty on the environmental systems.
Yep. So just to clarify for everyone listening, the colonel has rolled no successes and 1 complication on the on that roll, which for which they have elected to give the GM threat. So I am taking 2 points of threat, bringing my total pool up to 11. With that, Dagnar, you cannot discern his intentions. He just seems to be absolutely brimming with happiness as he hands over, or as he disperses drinks. And he's immediately going to take a nice big swig of his whiskey. And let's see. He's already gotten a bit started today, so let's see how he does with this. Give it to him at a 3. Colonel, for this one, it would be a difficulty 3 reason medicine, or rather, fitness and medicine roll.
Cool.
Do I need to do anything for the beer, by the way?
I'll have you roll just a difficulty 1 fitness and medicine here. You might be going a little faster just because than you would have otherwise, just because you think that you have an anti-intoxicant in your system, but it's not working for shit. Okay, you make your check. Sharp, you almost make the check with 2 successes.
Makes sense.
Yeah. This is some pretty good, strong whiskey that Dagnar's picked up. He does relatively worse with it. But that just means he's feeling it a bit more. He'll empty his glass and slam it down on the table. Colonel, do you go ahead and finish yours as well?
Of course. And then I slam it as well. And just lean back and relax. There we go.
Not a bad way to start the evening. I only wonder, before the true festivities start, should we have a look at and see how this how the main event, at least for everyone else, goes, or would you rather start making things interesting now?
All good choices. Thinks about it for a moment. It looks over to the crew. What does the crew think would be the idea? Danny, Primes. This is me speaking out of character. What would you guys want to do? Want to talk to Dagnar, or
Yeah,
and see the...
out of character, I don't get the choice. Like,
So
what's the,
basically,
what are the 2 options?
basically,
Yeah.
there's a main event here that's about to start, or rather, there's a scheduled gladiatorial event that is about to go on here, and Dagnar is giving you the chance to say, do we want to watch that first, or do you want me to escalate the plot and find out what stupid hijinks you've gotten yourselves into?
Got it. Yeah, I'm ambivalent. I can go either way. I don't really. I don't want to speed things along too quickly, but I also don't want it to drag out. So,
I mean, I've got no reason to stay and watch this. If we've got a reason to, I'll happily stay. But
How about you tell me what sort of offer you're making, and if it's good, we can be friends. We can still be friends afterwards, but then afterwards, if I feel up to it, I'll watch this match.
Oh, it's quite simple, he says, pulling out a large, nasty dagger and stabbing it right in the middle of the table. I'm going to kill someone! And with that, I think I'm going to spend 2 points of threat and close out the scene with the bunch of you.
Oh, neat.
So,
well, he didn't say he was going to kill us, so
That's always good. Yeah.
we're probably fine.
That might be his next line.
yeah, let's.
Yeah, Zach, there was a mistake on your part. You said table instead of chest.
Yeah. I did think you were going to say he stabbed you instead of the table.
Well, actually, the more accurate thing would be to say he places his own hand on the table and stabs the sword through that, because Nausicaans value pain as a social activity.
Yep.
Yeah. So while this only partial revelation goes on, and I'll take the opportunity to note that chat is demanding blood at this point, so I think that when we get back, we may be starting the blood sports.
Okay.
I'm not sure he's talking about the game anymore.
Yes. Anyway, back out in the dockyards, Commander Romanov, Lieutenant Shira, under your disguises as Jenny Wrench and Rin Shirina, you are pacing about the dockyards. Is there anything in particular you were wanting to look for here?
Yeah, I kind of want her to cover for me. Well, here's what I want to do. Look, if you remember at the beginning of this campaign, I lived in sort of an oppressed environment, right? It was a lot of political unrest and different groups vying for control. So I'm kind of familiar with that kind of environment. So I just wanted to go over to a console, a station console, and just look at news and information and see if I can discern stuff about the power structure of this place from it, from the advertising, who's behind it, that kind of stuff. You can tell a lot about a place by just, looking into that kind of info.
Okay. While you are doing that, Shira, is there anything in particular you wanted to look for?
Yes. I'll be as we move along the docking area, I want to look at what ships are currently docked here.
Copy that. So, let's see. Yours, Shira, I can give you at least partly, I can give you that for free because of the, you had already gotten a look whilst coming in, and you would have had a chance to consult with the crew, take a quick look at the sensor logs coming in. Let's see. For Romanov, I'm going to ask you for what you are going with. I'm going to ask for an insight, and I think command would probably make the most sense here. I could accept security as well. It will be a difficulty 3 roll, and I'm going to spend 1 point of threat to increase your complication range on that task.
Okay, I'd like to use computers as a focus. Because I remember I did work on boomer ships and other vessels that came into Alpha Centauri. So I'm kind of familiar, more so than the average Starfleet officer, with, alien tech. Plus, touched by alien technology is in my background.
I
So,
will allow for that. While you
okay,
are
so let me go yes on focus. And then I wanted to spend one momentum if the group would allow it. He just spent a threat. I think he's telegraphing there could be something.
Well, we only have one momentum, so I guess you can have that.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I'm going to have 3
One
dice
momentum.
with a
Yep.
focus.
Yep.
And I'm going to opt for insight and security because I'm looking at this place in terms of its power structure first. In terms of, things that would help the team out, right? Knowing who controls what.
So,
Okay, so here we go then. Task roll, focus.
okay, that scores the requisite 3 successes that you needed, and all while avoiding a complication. So very good. Uh,
I feel
Unless
targeted.
for your part, Romanov, I will say that you managed to find the nearest display which actually has some interactive capability to it. You passed by a Rigelian man who is just kind of leaned up against one of the bulkheads at the dock and find something that you can access. There doesn't seem to be any security blocking this off. A part of this, you have to very carefully and covertly use the universal translator to help you get at least a partial sense of what you are dealing with, because while you are familiar with some bits of Alien Station, this is a little outside your wheelhouse.
It is. And I'm also, because of that, I'm recording this on my data pad. Just, I'll just point the camera of the data pad right to the screen so I'm capturing, as I've got translator running in a box and then I'm capturing this.
It is a good thing you did not roll a complication.
Yes, absolutely it is.
But yeah. So scrolling through the different feeds, you pick up bits and pieces here, basically. There is a lot of advertising for various sort of wares, ship services, like list boards for potential jobs or contracts, crews that are willing to hire out for varying purposes. Um, the station seems relatively anarchic. I mean, there's definitely some sort of management here. I think it would be heavily implied to be some mix of Orion and Nausicaan. Kind of just this place feels in some ways like a barely mediated matter-antimatter chamber in some ways. So long as everything is doing its job properly, everything's fine and it will continue to produce what it aims to do. Throw something out of balance and it could get messy fast. Uh, with all of that said, let's see. The overall power structure seems fairly stable. The social dynamics would best be described as, illicit port, hive of scum and villainy, that sort of thing.
Okay,
Some of the wares probably suggest more, not just transportation of illicit goods, but an even more vile suggestion of a slave trade.
slave trade, of course it's going.
Sadly, this is a time where that type of trafficking is all too present, and the forces, while some of them do act on a regional basis, regrettably, not everyone can stamp out the evils of this era.
That is correct. And what I'm going to do, sort of my final thing with that data, is look at who the posters are for some of these wanted, crews and things like that, because the names that keep coming up, those are the fixers, or at least people who are hiring directly for their organization. So I'm going to kind of map organizations based on how many hires and things like that they have out.
Um, I'll give you. I can't give you too much on that, I guess, since we are absent momentum here. But I will. I will say that you generally notice that most of the open contracts, there are actually probably only a half dozen of them. Most of them are for Nausicaan vessels and crews. There might be um, let's see, a Malurian ship that is offered for that, but otherwise it's seeming a little bit sparse right now, at least for anything that's on the station. And I think that's a good pivot point to check in with Shira here, who you're getting the sense that of the docked ships at present, you are kind of getting a similar readout to what you had found earlier. Basically, half a dozen alien freighters were in position of varying sorts. I believe at least one Nausicaan raider was presently docked, and one Orion vessel as well.
The Orion vessel is likely the one we've been following.
That did
The
conform
trail.
the most to your the warp trail you'd been tracking. Yes.
Okay. What's the security like around the docking areas? Are there like cameras? Are there like stationary guns, or
It
is
would
it just kind of left open to the ships themselves to post security?
it would not surprise you much if there were surveillance in effect here, and there are certainly some quote unquote gate officials around, but definitely you would see other parts of crew just kind of milling about not too far off. It seems like some people didn't take the or doesn't take the station too lightly in terms of that, or doesn't take the general population too lightly. Uh, the Orion ship, there is actually some activity as somebody comes out from the ship, staggering just a little bit as they move out and start walking past you. You're just barely sort of regarded by an Orion male, his hair worn long and brushed largely to one side, and a sort of bit of leather tunic and armoring. He seems to have all manner of sort of pouches and a few weapons strapped to him, mostly like light disruptor looking weapons, handguns and the sort. He also appears to be carrying what is the equivalent of a vape pen or something that looks to be that, as he places it to his mouth and just puffs out some sort of just acrid smelling substance or some sort of gaseous compound. Um, at once acrid, but also with like sickly sweet undertones to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite awful.
It's Orion crack.
Oh dear, oh dear.
I'm sorry.
No, you're quite all right. I've had worse. I
You've had Orion crack.
No more. I've had worse commentaries, and I've had. Uh, for context, check out the last episode, the last session of Star Trek
Broken
Adventures: Broken Sword, The Prospect of Violence Part 3. Somebody made a comment, and I took threat for that. Because the GM does that some of the time. Anyway, he'll just pass by. Outside of the outfit, you probably notice some signs of the traditional bolted like elements of the bolted elements of like some sort of symbols into his head, like something inlaid that is attached to his skull. It's quite an odd bit. Well, an odd bit, but an Orion custom, basically.
But would I know what anything like that means?
I don't know necessarily what the significance would be, so I don't think there'd be. I don't know that there'd really be that much to it.
Okay.
And for some reason, Dagnar is still showing up as there, even though I had. Yeah,
Dagnar, he's replicated himself.
Oh no.
He's a clone.
Oh no. The players have caught on to my plot. Now I need to toss that element immediately. Uh, uh, quick, everyone to the gladiatorial combat. Well, before we leave the scene, seriously, is there anything that the two of you would look for, or that you would want to communicate amongst yourselves?
Well, after I've done my bit of intelligence gathering, I'll hand the data pad to her so she can look it over because she's the expert. And there is one other thing I want to do. Okay, so I work to the docks. I kind of know how people put cargo out for ships. And I'm looking for those areas of where all these ships are docked to see if there's any high security cargo areas.
You would suspect that there would be I'd say you probably have a vague layout of the station from at least one of the maps here, and there's some suggestion of an area where basically people could transfer their holds for an exorbitant fee.
Then I'll note those. I'll mentally note those and add them to the data pad.
Okay.
If you want me to make any rules on this to assess it, let me know.
I won't force you to do that now.
Okay. I'll take it for free then.
Okay. Anything you'd want to talk about amongst yourselves?
Just walk her through the data that I just found out. Here's the big hiring people, rough layouts of the base. Those areas over there and over there are probably high security transfer points for high value cargo. And there you go. Rin.
Thank you, Jenny. Yeah, this looks interesting.
Just a little E-lint, and take it with a grain of salt.
Well, and you said there were jobs, people looking for ships and
She
ships
pulls
looking
it
for
up on the
people.
data pad. Yep, I captured all that. Here's all the hiring that's going on. Mostly Nautican.
Yeah, Nautican, Orion using this place. That's not a surprise. Yeah. Hmm.
Oh.
What do you make of these ships here?
I'm going to take a little bit more of a detailed look at the ships.
Sorry, is there anything in particular you were looking at?
Well, she asked me to take a look at the ships, so I'll evaluate them from an engineering point of view.
Okay.
How modified, that kind of stuff.
Okay. That would probably require a much closer scan and possibly like an unsafe distance in order to conduct that. Either that or ship sensors.
Yeah, I'll just say I can't get close enough with a hand scanner. They'll stop us.
Yeah, that's true.
What I can generally say is, yeah, this is about what I expected in terms of, the types of ships that are here.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to
find.
Yeah.
You said You've downloaded the basics on this.
No, I captured them off of the screen. I
Oh.
scrolled through them.
Oh, right.
So it's
So
second.
yes, it's literally just public information that you've
It's
got.
all I did was hit public and see what that would
Mhm.
tell us, which gives us an idea of what the pond is like, right?
Yes. Would love more information on that Orion ship.
The particular one you're looking at?
Yeah. I wonder if there's a way to get that. It might require our
Oh, you mean
Vulcan's help.
a dirty way to get a scan of that ship? I've got an idea. I've got an idea, but this depends on how this place is set up. Okay, so we're on a dock. We're on like ramps that are overlooking the docks, right?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
We're on like the way you described it. We're kind of like on a platform, and we can see the dock area, right? As much of it as visible, and the ships, right?
Yeah, basically. I mean, there isn't like a lot in the way of good windows and what have you to look at.
Fair. And I assume they're not really using force fields. This is probably there's airlocks that go out to the actual physical.
Precisely.
What? Okay, it's probably in a cavern. By the way, I'm kind of thinking about it. There's this big open cavern. The ships are in there.
It's
and
actually
there's
yeah.
Yeah.
So the exterior, it's slightly built into the rock where there's like bits of that either well in any direction around the ships, save for out into open space. But like if you were to think of if we were to borrow the Ender's Game analogy, let's say, and the airlock is down relative to that. Once you get to what would be that floor level, there would be a rock wall north, south, east, and west of you.
Okay.
And then if you were looking up relative from where you were standing, open space would be there. So the ships can somewhat nestle in. Once you go into the station itself, everything is like built up to like there's metallic compartments around. There's no hint of the natural rockscape here. It's as if, yeah.
Would it be possible to float a tricorder by that Orion vessel, and they might not notice it outside, sort of like pitching a baseball and having it travel a straight line? And if that line passes by, we get at least a bit of a scan of it.
Well,
How would we get the tricorder back?
We'd have to recover it, which would be 0G. You wanted the craziest thing off the top of my head? That's the craziest thing.
That is crazy. I'll agree. That is crazy.
It was a technique I had seen done in the docks of Alpha Centauri when somebody wanted to scan but didn't want to get close to a ship. Nobody may pull that one out here. And it all depends on, could we get 2 people out there, a pitcher,
Well,
catcher?
I know I haven't brought an EVA suit, and I doubt there's one in Sorol's. Well, he may have one, I guess, but
No. Look, just keep that in the back of your mind. If you feel you need that absolute thing, we could procure the suits here, which would probably be better anyway. It is look local. So that is the craziest way to get that scan if you want it.
it certainly is. Yes.
Other than that, we're not going to be able to get close enough to that ship for me to really analyze.
Yeah.
How close is that ship to those special cargo areas?
Not close at all.
Okay. She's not too close to the special cargo areas, but that doesn't mean she didn't use them earlier.
Yeah. But if they're keeping anything high value, I don't think they'd want to offload it. Certainly not
All the stuff still
amongst
on
here. No one are amongst thieves.
Yeah. But yeah, the only thing I can think of is scan up. And that would have to be well planned out.
So, anything else you would want to do whilst you are here?
Can't think of anything.
All right. Let's move this around as you ponder your next move and take some time. And we'll go ahead, duck back to the rest of the crew. Dagnar has made his pronouncement. He intends to commit a murder today, the exact nature of which is not yet specified.
There's that raised eyebrows. That's all right. No need for the dramatics. You're practically telling us that you're breathing here, but go on. As I just reach over and grab the dagger and just yank it out.
I want that back, you know.
Finders keepers. But continue. She's just cleaning her nails with the tip of the blade.
Oh well, I suppose I always have the good old Tegalar, he says, tapping the sword strapped at his side. Now, I think you are right. Dramatics is more in order, so let's save it for after the show. It seems as musical tones start rising throughout the bar, interrupting the mix of other announcements and the tusk metal. It seems as though the show is about to begin.
No, wow, can't go missing that. She gets up and just walks over the table. Come on, Danny, see to that hand.
You want a hand with that? He says, pointing at the hand.
Oh. Well, I suppose if you patch it up, then go right ahead. But I warn you, you give me any sort of pain medication, and it'll be your own hand that you need to worry about.
Alright, I mean, you sure you don't want any? Some good stuff in here.
Can you cauterize this?
I mean, sure, I can cauterize anything.
He'll raise his hand to you. I'm waiting.
Do I have anything hot?
Well,
I'm assuming you've probably
I mean,
got...
Chief Justice is close.
there's always
Just pull out a phaser and blast the hand.
you might be able to test something with the daring and with a daring and medicine roll. I would say that you might have like some sort of laser scalpel that you could effectively adjust to cauterize the wound.
Or
You
if
could
I've
also
got a lighter, I can just run some heat along the edge of his blade and then cauterize it with the blade he used to stab it.
Oh man, Chief Justice would totally have one, but that would be a momentum spend, I think.
You know, I'd allow
Yeah.
Chief Justice to have brought his lighter along if he wants. No objection there.
He whips out the old 20th century World War II vintage Zippo.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Captain, will you oblige Lambeth to use the dagger for those purposes, or are
Yeah,
you not done with
I'll just flip it in my hand and hand it over to Danny.
Okay.
Careful with that, alright? Daring medicine roll?
Yep, daring and medicine. We'll call this difficulty 2, and I'm spending 1 point of threat to increase your complication range.
Would emergency medicine count as a focus?
I'll give you that.
Thank you.
2 successes.
There we go.
Excellent. So yeah, you heat the blade at its tip, ready to cauterize, and with a quick press, you hear the sickening sizzle of the gap being singed and burned, instantly like cohering. The Nausicaan scarcely flinches to that. He just winds a smile. Ah, I appreciate someone with the garumba to pull that off.
Hmm.
Danny
You're a
was.
brave fellow. You fancy a lollipop after that?
I don't know what that is. But,
Oh no, it's an human culture thing. It's what we give to little kids when they've been very brave.
Oh,
I wouldn't. His are laced anyways.
well,
That's true enough. Yeah, you don't want to give mine to little kids, or probably most adults either.
in that case, I'll take one.
Yeah, I thought I liked you until he'll desperately scrabble around his bag for some kind of lollipop thing, and
You know, I'm willing to bet just because Danny's that type of doctor, there is one, but it is just a plain sugary lollipop.
yeah, I think he's just gonna have to
Go for the placebo.
debating whether to actually lace it with something or to just hand him a lollipop and pretend like it's something.
They don't fucking know.
Really
You can
dangerous.
just give them a
Yeah.
lollipop.
I mean, for all I know, sugar could be poisonous to Nausicans, so let's just hand him an ordinary lollipop.
Okay, give me a presence and medicine, and I'd love to hear your pitch of what this lollipop, what his experience with it might be.
Okay.
So this will be contested against Dagnar's insight and command. So let's see what he does. He's gonna buy it hook, line, and sinker. He scored one success tier 2, and he picked up a complication. So he's going to be. I think that he's going to let the high get to him. And he's had a bit to drink at this point already. So with that, that might impair some of his reason rolls from here on out.
It might not. This kind of thing might not taste dangerous at first, but it really kind of creeps up on you.
He'll take
Are you really sure you want to go for it?
He'll snatch it from your hand. I presume, is this like plastic wrapped and all?
Yeah, actually, it would be. Yeah.
He's gonna put the plastic wrapping in his mouth, not bothering to remove it. It tastes terrible.
Well, I did warn you.
He kind of moves it around in his mouth with an audible crinkle of the plastic as it moves about. I will work my way through this. I'll be getting something out of it tonight. But yeah, with that, he's going to go on, and over the loudspeaker, a deep booming voice calls out, "Friends, miscreants, and those who've not yet taken in the full pleasures of Yudikan, welcome to our humble station. Tonight, you are in for a real treasured moment. For we bringing back from 100 battles, from victories against the Klingons of Mastikal, onto fearsome Kazin warriors. We have the truest victor this sport has ever seen. The fierce, the brave, the bold, Armatrix the Destroyer!" And on visual screens ahead of you, an image displays of a man of deep bronzed hue, covered in different points of armor, with an eye patch and a very closely cropped sort of hairstyle. He raises two hands in the image, one with an axe and the other with a decently sized round shield. As it zooms back a bit, you realize that this fearsome warrior, this well-muscled older veteran, only stands at about 4'2". It occurs to you he is an Ithonite and probably one of the taller ones. So this fearsome warrior comes from the same species as the nimble traders that you encountered some months back. At least in Danny's case, it would be Narth and Captain Lamash from the Bounty of Plenty. So,
Oh, Narth. I miss Narth.
yeah, we'll get back to him at some point. And tonight, his challenger is a rare creature, one not seen by many before. None know is true. What the truth behind his people, or indeed anything for that matter. While none can understand him, he is shown in battle after battle. He understands one thing truer than anything else: violence. Can he unseat the great victor? Or shall we add a 101st battle to Armatrix's reputation? Tonight he faces Deshawn. And before you appears a relatively another unfamiliar sort, or rather a species that most of you would not recognize. Let me try and make this visible here. I'm just going to have to do this slightly differently. So all players, and then I think it's because it was already partially visible. Let's. Oop, sorry about the jank in the camera there. So, a similarly armored gentleman, a bit stockier or a bit bulkier, wielding a what appears to be a Nausicaan Tegalar style blade, and if you wish, a shield as well. But yes, no one that any of you would immediately recognize. I suppose, Sharp, you could give me a reason and command here.
Reason and command. Reason, command. I got nothing there. So, cool.
Okay.
Let's go.
Difficulty will be 3. Okay, yeah, that's not going to be enough. Yeah. If there's anything familiar about this, then it isn't coming to mind. But
I'm probably a little buzzed, anyways, already.
Yep. So all the feeds, including the stream feed, cut to the arena, where two opponents begin to assemble. It is a large square arena with a mixture of tiling and grates at different points. There is noticeable heat in there, Deshawn, as you step in, because of, in no small part to the live plasma feeds of the grates that have given away on occasion in some of these places. As your opponent steps into the field, are you taking any particular sort of reaction or readying yourself in any way?
I mean, I don't think anything particular. When he steps in, he's probably saying something that no one understands. Like any translators you have is not picking it up.
Yep. The indistinct words come across, and Armatrix, who stands across from you, so they'll say something to the effect of, well, you have probably as much trouble picking up the meanings, but for anyone that were listening, say, all right, let's keep this clean and just keep it entertaining for the fans. I don't know how much you can get of this, but, well, I'd like to give them a decent show, but also, you know, come out with us both being able to get a nice drink afterwards. It's all gobbledygook to you, Deschamps.
Obviously. I answer with gobbledygook.
Yep.
This isn't the info kiosk.
No, it's literally like it's the original alien experience in the sense that like you speak two languages that have nothing in common. And the
All
translators do shit all.
Yep. All right, fighters, take your marks and begin. Armatrix, his axe and shield ready. He's going to raise that and hold his shield as high as he can, relatively to I'd say about to chest height for you, Deschamps. All right then, you bastard. Let's get this going. So Deschamps, you can at least tell based on your previous experiences here, this man means to attack you with a weapon of sorts. But he seems
does
to,
have an axe. So.
Yes, he does seem to be letting you make the first move here. Would you like to take that, or are you going to wait for him here?
I think we are still in the pre-Kirk era, so I would circle him menacingly.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like sword and shield at the ready, but kind of circle him at like maybe slowly getting closer. But I would also. Do I know if there's any signs that the plasma vents or whatever they are like discharge?
From your experiences, the vents don't discharge that often. Typically, the risk of that is most likely in the third round of a match. Or the third or fourth round of a match. So still a little ways in. I would say, for your purposes, though, there's always the chance that whoever is running these games will just do things on occasion to make things interesting. So,
So unpredictable.
Yes, this might depend partly on rule of cool here. This is an activation for you, Deschamps, so you do get the opportunity to increase a talent, rather an attribute or value by 1 point. You do also get to add either a talent, value, or focus.
Yeah, only one of any of the above, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna choose a value because that's something I can activate.
Okay.
But I can't say what it is because that would be selling.
Fair enough. I will accept that. You can DM me what you are using here.
Yeah, if it comes up.
Yep.
Will since I have no idea what he said, I would probably hope to just goad him into attacking and hoping I have maybe a slight bit of advantage.
Okay.
Are you swinging with like a large, slow, obvious telling swing?
No, it's more like waiting for him to make the first move to get impatient.
Okay.
I'll tell you what then. For these purposes, let's see. I think that we could either treat this as we could treat this as a ready action. So you could basically declare that you could treat this basically as the D&D style ready type situation, where when the situation is triggered, you can use the readied task to interrupt the character, and like yeah, basically attempt it before they can take an action. I guess as the alternative, I would allow you to treat this as a creating an advantage, maybe making an attack easier for you. If you want to roll on that, it would be difficulty 2, and I guess since you are trying to goad him, that would be
Presence command.
yeah, that would make the most
Probably.
sense.
That's not the best for me, but I don't know why not. What's the worst that can happen?
Yep.
Death.
No, wait. Wait, I have to collect this right character. Oh, that's slightly better. Would any of my focuses apply? I could offer hazardous environments or martial arts.
I think a martial arts focus would relate here. It is as much
Hell
about
yeah.
the mental struggle as it is the physical, and
What, crouching tigers and hitting dragons?
yes.
Yeah, let's roll. I know. Didn't select character, but I know.
Okay, not quite what you need for Deshawn to succeed here. So they're going to be cautious, but what this will do is that they'll be able to they are still going to come at you, but they do have a talent that is coming into play when they make their attack, or more for the counter attack here. So Armatrix cautiously regards you, and he's just going to move at a quick speed. Every footfall of his pounding the deck plating very swiftly, but extremely hard. You would almost suspect him to leave dents behind as he comes up and goes in for a sweep at the legs with his axe. So this is going to be contested, daring plus security. You will need to beat 1 success. Okay. Well, that's, I think rereading the talent, since he took the offense here, it won't apply this time, so you do technically beat him, gaining 1 point of momentum. And you may roll for, well, if you are electing to go for a damage roll, you may do that. Your options would be to attempt to basically shove him, which would deal a knockback if you went with like an unarmed strike or something like that. But it wouldn't deal damage, or you can go for the strike move.
I'm going to strike him.
Okay.
This has been life and death, so that's how I'm rolling.
Very good.
So that's the Tegola?
Yep. Come to think of it, I guess not those rules wouldn't apply quite as much because that's more unarmed combat than the other. So yeah, go ahead and swing for damage with the Tegolar. Oof! That is 8 points of damage. He is going to have his shield to help block, which will give him 2 cover dice, plus the resistance that he has from the blade, or rather from his armor. So let's see. That will be 2 points. Oh, that is so that will come out with the Tegalar. That is 4 effects, which is 1 point plus or 1 point for each plus the vicious 1 effect for a total of 8 points of damage. His shield will cover 2 effects, but there's nothing special attached to that, so that's just 2 points there. And then the resistance he has from his armor. So you're going to get in a good 5 points of stress on him for the slash. That will be enough to deal an injury. However, I'm going to spend 2 threat to buy that off. Some blood does come a bit loose from him like as you manage to slash just beneath one of the shoulder plates and hit his arm. He intimates some sort of general quiet comment regarding the wound and just kind of growls a little bit. He'll briefly turn to the audience and to those of you that can understand him properly, which would be everyone in the party to be sure. Old Arbitrix is going too easy on this one, apparently. Who wants to see me really take it to him? Come on!
Yeah, I will cheer. But by this
Stop it.
point,
Stop
Kill
it.
him! Kill him!
but by this point, I would try to find an arm around a lovely woman's waist that does mind.
There is a Rigelian woman that has generally been taking well, one of those that is intermingled with the group. Doesn't seem to object to your company. Not terribly chatty, but more because she seems to be in what seems to be an Orion ale.
Yep.
Yep. So for that, since we're getting some cheers for Armatrix, Captain, give me a. I tell you what, you can roll an assist on the next roll here with presence and command. And that while all that's happening, Deshawn, I think the roll actually goes back to you here, or it is your turn now. So, what would you be doing here next?
I would. So he came in for a low swing.
Yep.
Which I probably blocked and then stabbed him. So I would go for the always good Sparta kick. Just kick him right in the chest
Okay.
to knock him down.
All right. This will be another daring and security roll. Arbitrix is drawing assistance from the crowd here with the cheers, so he will be supported here. You do have one personal point of momentum, which I haven't assigned, but I will just say you have it available if you want to spend it.
No, I think I would.
All right, so.
And I could roll assist, or where am I rolling assist on?
Give
Cool.
me a presence and command roll to assist.
Yep.
So that is a tied roll here.
I only rolled 2.
Yeah, go ahead and roll me. Okay, so that is. Well, I think that after reviewing melee rules recently, the ties go to the initiative goes to the offense here. So it is very close. He is definitely going to raise his shield to try and take that. But the kick is going to be of such force that it will still manage to break the guard. Go ahead and roll for unarmed strike, and I'm going to ask, are you going for more of a striking move to deal damage while also knocking him back, or do you just want to take him down a peg or two with a shove?
I would. It's like a kick to the chest, so either wind him on, and if that's too elaborate, I'm fine with just dealing damage.
Well, I think with the effect there, that would still work as a winding. That said, with the let's see how much the shield actually takes here. Okay, you are still going to knock him down, but he is going to resist that the winding here, as it were. As you send him tumbling back, but he is going to stagger back up and ready himself as effortlessly as he was knocked down. But you send him rolling back, I'm going to say, to the grated section here. Oh, stubborn bastard, I see. Well, let's put this to bed. And with that, Armatrix is going to go for another charge in. Have at you! And I'm going to spend a point of threat. At this
Please
point,
don't.
yep, at this point, the soundtrack has probably shifted from Tusk Metal to Amok Time style horns um, blaring over the combat at this point. So, oh no! But he only rolls one success. Why would you do so poorly?
I bid 100 quatlus on the newcomer.
Excuse me, what?
Can I
Original series reference.
can I make a quick bet before this last swing with somebody?
It'll be off the books, but sure.
Yeah. Just so I can get some freaking latinum in my hands. I have none.
I wait until you've betted for my roll.
I mean, yeah, I'll make a bet. I'll make a bet with
Okay.
with a random standby.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh dear. With Deshawn, you roll 3 successes to the paltry 1 from Armatrix. He's having a bad day here. Yeah, you can roll for a counter-strike now.
Is that another attack or straight damage? I can never remember.
That would be another attack either with the Tegalar, or if you're using one of your limbs, then that is just an unarmed strike. If you're going for the weapon, then you roll damage for the Tegalar.
And did that generate 2 momentum?
It does.
Excellent. Then I would
we need that.
take take another die. And yeah, let's go.
Oh, you rolled daring and security again instead of damage.
Get to attack.
Oh, you won the last combat, so you could have rolled.
Oh yeah, that's why I asked, and I misunderstood. Sorry.
My apologies.
I'm trying to. Am I being smart or not? I'm just striking him with the Tegolar again.
Okay, that'll do with the shielding and the armor. That will take off. Let's see, that's 5 points of damage. That will take off another 3. So you still manage to strike him for 2. I think that at this point that axe cleaves partly through his shield, which he will manage to dislodge still. Another wound to to his shield arm. But yeah, if you would like, I can take that second roll as a basically an effort to make a sudden counterattack. To which,
I mean, I rolled well, so I'm happy for you to take that.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to make use of his nimble evasion talent, which for Armatrix, he has learned to use his relative size disparity to an advantage against other species, helping with dodges and weaving. So the melee task, he is going to increase the difficulty of the check against you by 1. So let's see how he does here. Also, I'm going to invoke his value, give the crowd a good show. It's what I live for an auto crit. So make another roll. 2 plus the 2 from the auto crit will give him 4 total successes.
Do I get another help action?
What's that?
Do I get another help action from the crowd?
I don't know if the crowd's cheering for you yet.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I'll start cheering. And what was the challenger's name?
Deshawn.
Yeah, Deshawn, and try to get the crowd to change its pitch.
Give me another presence and command roll.
Yep. Inspiration, by the way.
I'll take that. It applies.
And you know what? I'm going to I'm going to use my value of living through one life to realize that I realize what I've missed.
Technically, the assist since it's an assist.
Oh, it's an
roll here,
assist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then yeah. Never mind. All right. Cool.
You can still roll. Well, you managed to tie it up, which will keep me from generating threat. However, the initiative does go to the attacker on that. So, essentially, as you come in for a second slash, Armatrix will roll out of the way and basically slash behind in order to make an attack. With the battle axe that he has, that will be 4 point. Well, let's see, 2, 4. The vicious, those effects go for vicious 1, so that is a total of 6 points of damage. Let's see, I believe I didn't write this down, but I believe I plan to give Deshawn a shield as well as the armor. So I would say that you can take you have 1 point of resistance automatically, and then you can roll another 2 challenge dice to constitute cover, basically. See what the shield does for you.
Okay.
Okay, so that'll take off 2 points of damage, which will make it just a flat 4, just 1 shy of dealing an injury. Nonetheless, the axe kind of grazes or glances off the shield, which prevents him from getting a good hit at your flank, but it does still slash in, and some dark purplish blood is now like coming out of your side, Deshawn.
I growled something at him. Uh,
Yeah. So with the,
it's my turn to attack?
Yep.
I think I still have some momentum.
Yeah, there would still be 1
left
point
over.
left over from that.
Yeah, so I'll buy another die, and I just since he just slashed me from behind, I just swing around. And depending if I roll good or not, I remember that he's quite small or not.
All right. Let's see if you can.
That works.
See if you can beat through the nimble evasion that he has. Well, the initiative still goes to you here, so you can roll for an attack. Or rather, roll for damage. Okay, so that will be 4, 5, 7 points of damage with that next slash. So, yeah, that's... Let's see if a shield can stave off another injury. Oh, not quite. So, I think that as part of this, I'm going to rule that as he tries to block, the blade just hacks away, cuts through part of his shield, and slices partly into his chest. It's more like still a surface level sort of gash, but it's bad enough that he clutches it with the shield arm and like staggers back a little bit. Girl, getting too old for this. He kind of just balances a bit with his axe.
He's just 2 days from retirement.
Well, I do at least appreciate you might have gotten some of this. I was afraid you almost went for my head. The real question was Kayshawn going for, or rather Deshawn going for his head.
I'm not sure. How life and death was this so far?
Uh,
How would I rate this this forced imprisonment? How many stars?
I mean, some combatants haven't. The people that just they dump in at different times that seem to have been no better off than you were quite aggressive. In the other cases, it was what is it? In the other cases, it seemed to be what was it? Jeez. There might have been some opponents that seem to have had more an error towards the theatrical or something of the sort. They tended to, unfortunately for them, none were quite as good or as lucky as you, and some of them, like at least one or two cases, faced an ill-timed plasma vent or just the deck plate falling open and them meeting their demise that way.
I guess then if he or anyone else succeeds in reading his facial expressions, not quite bloodthirsty, but probably desperate.
Yep. Yeah. Armatrix, let's see, at this point he's taken some bad injuries, so he's going to think about this. He'll stop and think a moment. Hate to admit it. He'll let his axe clatter to the ground. You got me this round. And with that, he'll raise two fingers in the air, the sort of universal symbol of a fighter willing to concede. And, well, this is quite a sight, folks. Armatrix is yielding. Should Deshawn allow him to live? Will he even understand if the crowd bays for blood? What do you think?
I think Deshawn will just lower the sword and like take a couple steps back to just, if there is any ploy or whatever, that he has created some distance. But he's oblivious to the bloodthirst of the crowd.
Yep. There's probably inconsistent like grumblings of finish him and
Devour his flesh.
Yep.
Eat his heart to gain his strength. What?
Yep. Well, eventually it becomes clear with a long enough standoff. Well, it seems like Deshawn isn't in the mood for it this round, but perhaps we might have an encore if we can ready our combatants further. To which Armatrix will just kind of stand up as much as he can and just holding himself as much as his wounds will allow him, he will raise a fist to the air. Oh, it looks like Armatrix is willing. We will give our warriors time to heal and allow them to rejoin combat in the next round. Within a few moments, other figures start entering the stage. Some of the medical personnel, Deshawn, people that you've known to come to you after a combat and basically tend to your wounds, so you know they mean you no harm.
Yep, I'm getting my latinum.
Yep. Somebody bet.
All the bets are. I made more than one bet.
Yep.
Made bets in both directions for the same amount, so and you won nothing.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, some of you are pulling some decent quatloos.
What are quatloos? Do I even want to know?
It's
Random
a
currency.
It's a TOS reference. Gamesters of Triskelion. Technically,
God.
no one would have the Quatlus here because that was purely used by the god beings who became so enlightened that all they could do was gamble.
I give the red jelly woman a few slips with a wink and then let her off. Well, that was fun and entertaining, and jingles. I got some out of it. So, what other funds you got for me, Dagnar?
Dagnar is a bit sloshed at this point, and he's like, well, I think I'm ready to get us in on the true main event for the night. Would you like to come and join me in a little bit in a different sort of blood sport?
Depends on what exactly we're doing, and I ain't moving until you tell me otherwise.
Oh. Well, let's just say that I am putting an end to a certain pain in my side who's been taking all of my work.
And who's that?
Oh, that's more for showing and less for telling.
I pull out the Gazin pistol and put it very close to his stomach. And it's very close already. So I just pull it out and pressing his stomach. I've already been fooled, hoodwinked, and had a nice, unpleasant fun once a few years ago when I made such a similar deal. So how about you tell me about the fun now?
Suit yourself. It was a few years back. I was looking to start pulling together an order of my own, a compact, if you will. He looks down to his own sword. I was thinking of referring to it as the Tegalar Compact. I'm not great with names, and there have already been 3 of them, I suppose. But the point is moot. What it would have been was something quite grand.
I'm listening.
Well, the problems started coming up when the people I wanted, they were being bought out. More often than not, contracts from off-world. Jellians, I suspect some of the other local powers are sending them in all manner of directions. So I thought I'd make a little money off some of the other odd jobs around here. See what I could pull, and let's say there are clients with very deep pockets that have been wanting to spend quite a bit.
Dagnar, you've been a mite fun, but how about you skip a few chapters in this little autobiography?
Well, in that case, I'm thinking more. I was looking to remove the one person who has always been one step ahead, taking job after job away from me, and indeed right out from under me.
There's just like a open eyes and a blink, like and that is.
I barely commit the name to memory. Some
I
Orion
just
with the
poked.
Garumba.
I just poked the barrel of the pistol further, and there's a whine now. That probably makes my hand itch, I imagine.
Roll for intimidation here.
Which is daring and command, right? Or present command.
I think it would be more presence and security, though command, I suppose, could apply.
All right.
Dagnar has Dauntless here, so he is getting a bonus d20 to resist.
All right. I am going to. I got really nothing for intimidation here, but I will use my value now and say, Kirk made some intimidation, so Kirk made famous for it. I laid the groundwork. So I get extras, and we have no momentum. So let's go.
Is there still one left over for my rolls?
It should be,
Oh.
I guess. You guys never counted it.
Oh yeah, we didn't count that. So I will
Technically, it's group momentum.
Yep. I will allow you to roll one
You get one more
additional
die.
d20.
Okay. There we go. That is 4 versus 3.
Yep. So with that, he'll narrow his eyes a little bit. Look, if you don't want to be involved in this, I'm not going to force your hand.
I'm feeling interested, but I don't like being pussyfooted. And I don't want to be lumped in if it's something that is going to get me shot or worse.
Well then, then you can come into the high roller section with me, and you can stand back like the Igrumbalus Viper Wolf.
What is the name of the person that got you so in a little tight little bunch, like a little Tellarite?
That bitch captain of the spoiled prince. Name. It burns me to say. Visenia.
There's just a pause and like the pistol deactivates and a blink. Oh, great.
Familiar name, I take it.
To some extent. We've met.
I wouldn't be surprised if she likewise took a chunk out of your bottom line as well.
You can get in the high roller section.
Easily.
All right. How?
Like so, he says, and he'll use one hand to just push aside the arm with the disruptor and start moving up.
Yeah. I will, as he's walking up, I will pull up my communicator really quick and say, I gotta look at the pirate names. I'm sorry. I can't remember all the freaking names.
Eula's
Rin, Jenny, get your asses back over here. Get to the high roller section.
okay. Oh,
I
On
guess
our way. Dark Star.
would Danny and Dylan just be closing in fast, or right behind the captain?
Yep.
Okay, so the three of you that are immediately there follow closely behind Dagnar, moving about with a swagger and satisfaction from the match. Maybe less so from the bets that he made. He was going against or rather, he was going for Armatrix here. But nonetheless, he seems quite eager and quite happy to go about the combat. He strides up to the bodyguards and simply passes off quite a number of slips of whatever local currency there is. To which they look it over, they look to each other, they look to Dagnar. Quick eye to the rest of you. They're okay. Fun, even. The Noskins meet him with an indifferent shrug and just gesture him through. So yeah, the four of you enter the boxed area, and you see across the way, it's a little bit less noisy. There's a slight bit of sound dampening inside the cage, with a relatively select group of the different people. You see at the far end, Dagnar is making his strides near a table with 4 occupants. Uh, the nearest one, whose back is turned to you, appears to be a Mazarite gentleman of some sort. They're sitting very close to a Rigelian and 2 Orions. One in a bit of leather tunic and armoring, and wielding some sort of device that he brings to his lips and exhales a puff of smoke now and again. The other is an Orion woman with very long hair, uh, a vest of some sort, seems to be some sort of leather material, one that bears her midriff, and behind her seems to be a draped, like, long coat of some sort. Uh, but she seems just absolutely abuzz with laughter. Um, Generally the most mirthful of the bunch. The Orion man seems a little out of his out of sorts, while the other 2 individuals are just relatively quiet, studying the Orion woman. But one thing is very certain to you, Colonel. That definitely
Mm-hmm.
bears out to be Villainy.
Cool. Yeah, she'll just follow along, waiting.
Okay. So yeah, Dagnar steps up. As you are taking your position, Colonel.
I will take my position right behind Dagmar, as if in support.
Okay. Uh, Danny, Chief Crimes, are either of you aiming to do anything right at this moment?
I think Crimes is just following the captain's lead.
Yeah, I've got no plans for Danny.
Okay. Let's move this up so that everyone can see appropriately here. Uh, so yeah, the group of you gather in the section and take your positions behind Dagnar. At which point he starts monologuing. Ah, Villainy. I saw your ship come in, but your stench was unmistakable as well. Uh, I'm sorry. Can I help you? Dagnar, a name that you should know well, and you, Ethal, he says to the Mazarite. The Mazarite gentleman just looks to Dagnar. I'm afraid I haven't a clue who you are, and you're interrupting some very important business, so please go away. What are you talking about, Ethal? You gave me that. You were the one that offered me that same job you wound up giving to Villainy, or rather that she snatched, interloper that she is. Ethal kind of looks taken very slightly aback. My business is with someone else now, so please leave. And Villainy says, yeah, Dagnar, it's not a great time. I'm kind of enjoying the high, and I'd rather you and your what do you have some sort of entourage there? She barely pays mind to the humans that are around. Eh, Odd choice for a crew. Oh, this crew. Well, they're just along for the ride, rather for what I am about to do here. You have taken this.
Go ahead. Sorry.
You have taken these opportunities from me. You have stood in my way. You threatened to rob me of my way to travel the void. And as sure as the four winds are blown across my face, I, Dagnar, pledge myself to your end. Face me! And he
As
draws.
he's about to say "face me," I just stab him into one of his hearts. Not to kill him, just to make him pass out. And
Okay.
very injured.
Daring and security, which will go uncontested by him.
Please do not fuck this up.
I'm going to spend 1 point of threat. Actually, no, 3 points of threat to increase your complication range to 3.
Did I get any momentum from my advantage over him?
You did get 1 point from earlier,
I'll
I think.
take that. I will fucking take that. And close quarters combat.
Absolutely.
And it says daring security, right?
Correct. Complication range 3.
Yes.
Ah, jeez. Yeah. The dagger, or rather the long Bowie knife goes through. It doesn't quite protrude out of his, through his armor, but probably a bit through his chest. So he looks down and feels the warm blood trickling out. Oh. Roll me damage there.
Yep. Boo boo boo. What is a Bowie knife in terms of damage?
Do you? I forget. Did I give you a knife?
You did not give me a knife.
Okay. Tell you what. For our benefit, let's see. Go ahead and I can ask you to roll me. Let's see. Security of 4. I think the Bowie knife would go up to, that would be at least 2 points for challenge die. So give me a total roll of 6 on the challenge die there.
Okay.
And that will, the effects will be treated as, well, let's see. Qualities will be deadly and hidden 1, I think. Then it will be vicious 1 for the effect. Roll that again.
Come on. Okay.
The sheet just glitched there. Okay, so that is 2, 3, and 2 effects. So that would be
I'm just
5
trying to
points.
knock him out. Just trying to disable him.
Well, if you're stabbing for one of his hearts, I think that's considered a lethal injury. I also think Noskins only have the one.
I thought he had multiple. Well, I'll go with ever. Like, I know Noskin biology. I'll go with whatever I would know. Like, would definitely make them down out.
Why is he dead? I only stabbed him in one of his hearts. He only have one. Oh.
Yep.
I thought he had multiple. I thought they had redundant. That's why they're so tough. But
that's Klingons.
Oh, okay.
It sounds such like a Klingon thing to happen. I just stabbed him in his heart. What's wrong with him? He only has one. What? That doesn't make any sense.
I'm side-eyeing the doctor. Like, did you just see the captain stab a guy?
Yeah, so we'll tell you what, we'll leave that as a surprise for next session to figure out whether that injury was lethal or not.
Sure. Regardless, does he kill over?
He does.
Yeah, I'll say Visenia. I get out of a nice square concrete hole, and you never call, you never write. And I catch you here of all places?
Well. Edna, this just got interesting.
My mother calls me Edna. Eddie, if you want to go by actual names, you know that.
Well, with that, she says, well, in that case, pull up a chair. So I think, well, we might have anyone who takes the trash out like that definitely has a seat at this table.
Danny boy. Danny snaps her
Yep.
fingers in front of his eyes.
Yeah.
Think you can take care of the trash?
Sure. What trash in particular?
She just blinks and then gestures to the Nausicaan with a knife in it.
Okay, sure. Like, what kind of take care? Like,
Just
dispose of the body or fix
get
the
rid of
body?
it. Get rid of it.
Like, take care of him or take care of him.
Yeah, get rid of him.
Like,
She
get
says.
rid of him, like remove him from the room, or get rid of him, like get rid of him. Like, you ever want to see him again, or you don't give a shit, or
She just like rubs her bridge for her nose, and then just looks over, like gestures to Crimes.
you got a headache. You need
Crimes,
something for that.
Crimes. Could you make sure Danny help Danny get rid of the damn thing?
Yeah, we'll take care of this guy.
Thrall
Don't
doesn't
know
look so
whether
bad
we're
now,
gonna
does
kill
he?
this guy or eat him.
Danny roots around in his bag for another lollipop. See if we can find something.
She'll pull out the knife, which probably has a very wet pop when she does.
Yep.
And cleans it off the body.
Leave a mess. That's gonna leave a mess.
So is Danny and
Yeah,
Crimes gonna
sure.
get rid of the body?
Yeah, we'll shuffle
She
off.
wants you guys to help him, but she can't see that. It's like, yeah, go here. Want to take care of the body? Yeah. Let my
Well,
people
I'll
care
take
of
the
body.
legs.
All right, I'll get to the shoulders, I guess.
Have the rest of us arrived?
You are probably just getting there in time to see Dr. Lambeth and Chief Justice carrying apparently a Noskin corpse that is steadily dripping a trail of blood.
Why are you carrying that Nausicaan?
Chief Justice is just overwhelmed, and he makes overwhelmed crewman noises. The captain did Dark Lady, Dark Star, Darth Teach did a thing. Chief Crimes doesn't know, man.
Crying.
Danny, do you have a better explanation?
Nope.
Okay. Well, okay, just fine. Let's come, Jen. Let's head in. What the?
Alaska is not.
Wait, what's that? What's that Nausicaan from earlier?
It's a long story, I think. Hey, Doc, what say we find the waste disposal unit? And he wiggles his eyebrows.
Yeah, sure. Let's take out the trash. And he will also he'll wink.
Yep. As you attempt to work out what is just mob speak and what is otherwise just the attempts to communicate, like whether you are generally helping this man or whatever else is going on, let us make one final cut for the session, specifically out to a set that we haven't been on all session. We get a brief exterior shot of the nebula, and in the midst of space near the outskirts of the system, the Aegis has taken up station. And from that point, we have the bridge manned presently by Commander Patel, who is left as the only, or rather as the senior-most officer on the crew, but thankfully away from the major stressful situations where any knives would be flying or anything of the sort. Connolly says, "Yeah, sir, I think we're in position here. I I've consulted with engineering. I think we should be ready to go, just in case we need to take this thing to warp or get in really quickly.
Great news, Mr. Connolly. Is there any news on sensors? Anything to report from the direction of the base? Anything unusual?
Well, my passives haven't picked up anything, but I'm having a lot of trouble picking up something in this soup here.
It's just a Nausicaan floating by.
A corpse of the corpse of the sheriff that was referenced in chat here just tumbles on by. Nothing out of the ordinary, sir.
I will keep monitoring passive sensors only, and we'll see what we can see.
On that note, I think that there'd actually be a role for Crichton here. Let's see. If somebody could roll for the ship here, this will be communication and engineering.
I got it.
Oh,
Communication.
Yes, and he should have had the focus there, but it doesn't apply. So he's rolling on a difficulty 3 task here.
Communication and engineering. Okay. And no focus and just 1 die, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Okay, not quite enough to succeed. Crichton, he's going to place his hands to his earpiece. Commander, I'm not sure what to make of this.
Patel stands up and goes over to the little railing next to the comm console. What do you got?
At first I was chalking it up to just static, but I feel like there's something consistent about it. It's not near the station, but it's actually... I think it's somewhere in a relative distance closer to us.
Does it sound like a hail, a signal?
Could be
interference.
Could be interference, but there's enough coherence, or there could be some other localized channels being open, brief data exchanges. I would almost think, sir, maybe we weren't the only ones with this same idea. And with that, the notion that somebody else might be hiding out here in the nebula, I think this is where we should leave off for tonight's session of Star Trek Adventures Aegis. So, thank you all for joining us for another game. For those of you in the archive, this is where we leave you for tonight. So thank you for stopping in. If you ever want to catch us live, we go on Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. So just as needs be. Otherwise, we will always have this up. We're trying to go for about 2 days after the video airs, so you can pretty reliably catch it on Mondays. If you ever want to join us, we are always happy to have you around. Just drop us a follow on Twitch, and while you're here, feel free to drop us a follow here on YouTube as well. But anyway, we will catch you around, so have a good rest of your day.